I've always said us humans are interesting creatures. We're always trying to figure things out. And it's a natural ability. And sometimes the ability goes to obsession in going. So often it's not what's happening to us, it's trying to figure out why it's happening or what it means. And so often that's where we trip ourselves up, because there's a whole aspect of living, growing, expanding, evolving where the understanding of the why is fine. It's just we've got it all backwards and wrong. So that's the topic of this episode of Living Spiritually in a Practical World. Well, something happens, good, bad, or otherwise. Good, bad, or otherwise. And so when it happens, it's like our mind has this need, and really it's belief systems when you think about it, topic for another discussion, to understand. When something happens, there's this need to understand, I guess, what's happening, why it's happening. And sometimes that works just fine. Often in our spiritual walk, the process of understanding and growth is actually reversed. So let's bring Mr. Flip Chart out and we'll take a look at what I mean by that. So this is what, and you've heard us probably mention this and talk about it in a little different formats, but we're going to call this often some of our events, you will have heard me talk about the coffee shop of our awareness. So we're just going to call this our awareness circle. So what I mean by that is in our life experience, there's the things that we're aware of, both physically and non-physically. Now, I didn't bring this picture in, but we'll just do a kind of quickie version. So if you've been watching and following any of the virtual training and videos, or especially the in-person ones, you will have seen me draw the physical and non-physical circle. And you will have seen it like this. Our I am, our soul, our spirit, our higher self, pick your label. And then in this moment, there are two hemispheres. There's the physical and non-physical. The physical is our five senses. Non-physical is our thoughts. Well, so while we're here, so this is the event. And it's in here where we apply the understanding. Of the event. So the event happens here, and then we understand it here. Now, okay, let's go back to our awareness circle. So in both the physical and non-physical, there is our level of awareness. Or think about this circle of awareness. And this applies to both the physical and the non-physical. So there are things in your physical circumstances that you're aware of, and there's things that you're not aware of. So, I mean, it seems, again, kindergarten-ishly simple, but there's a lot of truth in this. So right now, physically, I'm in the studio. I've got the blinds closed just so I can help manage that light better. So what I'm aware of in my physical experience, so what I'm aware of here, whoops, hold on. Let's do this. What I'm aware of here is I'm in a room 10 by 8 or whatever, or 9. I'm not aware of what's going on outside, right? So there's that aspect of my experience that I am aware of, and there's that aspect that I'm not aware of. Now, the same thing applies to the non-physical. So when something happens in the physical and we want to understand it in the non-physical, now, if what's happening here fits inside our current sphere of awareness, and we go, oh, so that's why this is happening. And that's not what this video is about. This video is about the things that happen in our physical experience that we can't understand. We can't figure out why. But again, there's this need, I'm going to use that word, to figure out why. Well, and that's really great. But the trouble is, sometimes those experiences bring with them an awareness or understandings that aren't inside what we're aware of. They're actually outside of it. And this is where we run into trouble, because we're so conditioned that we have the physical experience and we have the understanding of the physical experience, the whys, the whats, all that kind of stuff. But what happens so often is our non-physical. So we're going to use this circle here, our awareness circle. Oops, I keep doing this, our awareness circle. And we're going to apply it to the non-physical. Okay, so something happens in our physical and we can understand it. Why? Because the understanding is in here. Okay? But sometimes there are things that happen that the non-physical understanding that's related to it isn't in here now. It's actually out here. So what has happened so often is we've had this jump. It's often like a jump. It's not this smooth progression. It's boom, that switch when everything changes. And we just things are happening in our physical world and we just can't understand them. We can't figure out, again, both good or bad. We can't figure out the why. We can't figure out what it means. We can't figure out any of that stuff. Why is that happening? It's happening because the non-physical understanding, because it's there. It's just, it's there. It's just now not here. It's here. So typically what happens is we learn and we grow, and then our awareness shifts. We learn and we grow, and then our awareness shifts. But sometimes what happens is there's this spontaneous shifting or growth before the understanding, not after it. So something happens, we understand why it's happening, and then there's the growth. You know what? Actually, just let me go back to here. I think what I can do, and what I want to do is, I usually type this out so it's a bit easier to read, but we're going to try to draw this. So there's the physical, whoops, let's try and do this somewhat legibly. There's the physical experience. Nope, we want to do it this way. So our understanding. So we learn something new. Let's say our awareness or understanding grows, and then the physical follows suit. And kind of part of that is our awareness. Wow, can't spell today. So we do something in the physical and the non-physical. We're learning, we're acquiring new skills. Then we see that reflected in the physical. So, okay. And then our awareness expands. So that's that formula. But sometimes what happens is the physical is still here, but this guy and this guy have changed places. So our awareness has expanded. So our awareness has expanded or increased. And I'll explain this on the awareness circle as well. And then the understanding follows. So the difference is the understanding grows, expands. We see it manifest into the physical, and then our awareness goes, oh, okay, that makes sense. But sometimes what happens, and this is often when there's, like I said, these big shifts, not the little incremental ones, but the big ones. What happens is our awareness is now shifted or expanded, and our physical is now catching up to it. But what's lagging behind is this. So the awareness is expanded, therefore our physical experience changes, but the understanding of what's happening now has to catch up to these two steps as opposed to here when it's the exact opposite. So what that means is, I'm just going to erase this guy. What that means is that the awareness is shifted. So our awareness is expanded, but we don't understand how it's expanded yet. It just is expanded. So then what happens is our physical, that's really messy. Well, you know what? Here, let me do this right. There. So our physical experiences have changed. Why? Because our awareness has changed, or our vibration has increased. That's another way to look at it. But as it relates to this map here, our understanding of it is not here. It's out here. So what that means is as you grow and change and evolve, sometimes that growth happens, your frequency rises, all that cool stuff. Your physical is now reflecting that. And then in due course and time, the understanding catches up to the first two steps. But what happens so often, especially when we don't understand that this is what's happening, is our vibration is increased, our energy is increased. That's not the best word. Vibration is increased, our awareness is expanding, but the understanding hasn't caught up to it yet. Our physical environment is changing because our awareness is increased, but the understanding hasn't caught up to it yet. Yet we try and understand, but we can't because the understanding is not in here, it's in here. And when we use our current consciousness to try and understand what's going on, what we're doing is we're trying to figure it out in here. But you can't figure it out in here because that's not where it is, because everything has changed. Where is the understanding? It's out here. And this is why there's so much power in, it's kind of cliche, but simply being with whatever's happening. And there's going to be some things that are happening that you don't understand, and you don't know why, and you don't know the because, and you don't know all those things, at least right now. Why? Because it's, again, kind of that reverse process. As I said, it's that reverse process, which this is a real mess, but the understanding, we figure it all out. Oh, okay. Then that changes the physical, our awareness shifts. The awareness is shifted, the physical is changing, and then the understanding catches up. I can't remember who said this quote, and I'm going to be paraphrasing it, I'm pretty sure. But it was something to the effect of, all learning will make itself known through the presence of time. We could apply that to here. So understanding will make itself known in due course of time. So you can have experiences, and in a way, it's almost like I'm going to say a double-edged sword, in that all of a sudden your physical starts changing, and you don't even have again, good, bad, or otherwise, starts changing, and you don't understand why. And we try and understand why. And in this bizarre way, the more we try and understand, the more it slows down this natural, or hinders, therefore slows down this natural process of allowing the understanding to find us, rather than us trying to find the understanding. And this is where things like trust and faith and all those, I like to say, four-letter words come into play. Is as you go through your journey, there's going to be, you learn new skills, you increase your understanding, the physical flows, your awareness increases. But at the same time, there's going to be times where you've had this massive awareness shift, so much that your understanding is kind of playing catch up. So your awareness shifts, the physical changes, and then in due course and time, your awareness circle, right? We talked about your awareness circle. Your awareness circle. So this understanding goes from here into here. And so often when that happens, forcing it isn't going to work. It's that good old allowing. So if you're going through something like this now, your homework assignment. So your homework assignment is to do your best just to be with those experiences that you just can't figure out. Knowing that there will be understanding. It's just not currently inside your awareness yet. Simply be with those experiences and being open to the understanding, finding you. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. As always, we're all in this together. We're all walking our own individual paths together and learning how to live spiritually, but in a practical world. We'll see you in the next episode.